When you went silent, she told herself it didn't matter. She laughed it off, acted like she was fine, maybe even told her friends she was done with you. But deep down, that confidence wasn't real. It was an act, a performance designed to convince herself that she was still in control. See, when someone loses emotional power in a connection, their first instinct is to fake strength. They post more, they talk louder, they show off that they've moved on. But silence, your silence, has a way of cutting through the noise. It doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it doesn't react. And that's what slowly starts to break her confidence from the inside out. At first, she truly believes you'll come back. She's seen it before. Guys who said they were done but ended up calling, texting, or checking in when the loneliness hit. So she expects that. She's waiting for the pattern to repeat itself. Every day that passes, she assumes the next one will be the day you fold. But when that day doesn't come, when your silence stays strong and consistent, something inside her starts to shift. She starts to feel a small sense of panic, though she won't admit it. The power she thought she had begins to fade with every moment of your calm distance. Her ego can't handle the stillness because it thrives on reaction. It needs validation to survive. When she doesn't get that validation from you, she looks for it elsewhere. Social media, other people's attention, distractions. She might post something that's clearly aimed at you, hoping you'll notice. But when you don't respond, it backfires. Instead of feeling in control, she feels invisible, and that feeling begins to eat at her. Because for the first time, your silence becomes louder than anything she could say. That's when the overthinking begins. She starts to ask herself questions she never considered before. Did he really move on? Was I actually that replaceable? What if he's happier without me? These thoughts creep in quietly at first, but as days go by, they grow stronger. Every unanswered question becomes a weight in her mind. And that's when she starts realizing how much she underestimated you. You weren't waiting for her to change. You weren't playing games. You simply chose peace over chaos. And that's what shocks her the most. The more she sits with that silence, the more she starts to reflect, not on you, but on herself. She begins to see where she went wrong, how she took your effort for granted, how she assumed your patience would last forever. But silence doesn't just create space, it creates clarity. It forces her to see the truth without distractions. She starts to remember the moments you stayed calm, when she pushed you away, the times you tried to communicate, when she shut down. All the little things she ignored suddenly come flooding back with more meaning than ever before. Now, that false confidence she had in the beginning, it starts to crumble. The mask she wore so proudly doesn't fit anymore. Every post she makes, every joke she laughs at, every smile she fakes, it all starts to feel hollow. Because behind that surface, her heart feels something real lost. She might still be too proud to say it out loud, but the silence is forcing her to feel emotions she spent months avoiding. And the hardest part for her isn't missing you, it's realizing that she misjudged you. She thought you'd always be there waiting for her to come around. But when you didn't, it made her see you in a whole new light. The truth is, silence is power when it comes from a place of peace. It's not manipulation, it's self respect. You didn't go quiet to punish her. You did it because you finally chose yourself. You stopped pouring energy into someone who wasn't ready to match it. And that decision, that calm withdrawal, is what truly shocks her because she never expected you to have the strength to walk away without bitterness. She expected anger, emotion, reaction, but instead she found nothing but calm silence. And that silence, my friend, speaks volumes. It tells her that you no longer need her validation to feel complete. It shows her that you've stepped into your power, not by chasing, not by proving, but by letting go. And in that moment, something powerful happens. The person who once thought they had control starts to lose it. The one who is silent becomes the one who is remembered. And the more peaceful your silence stays, the louder it echoes in her mind. She'll realize that the silence she once ignored became the very thing she can't escape. Curiosity is a powerful thing. It's what keeps the human mind restless when there are no answers. And when you choose silence, that curiosity starts to work in your favor, quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. At first, she doesn't care much. She might even tell herself that you're being immature, that you'll come back when you're done playing games. She convinces herself she's the one in control because she's seen this before. People go quiet, then return with more emotion than before. But when the silence stretches beyond what she expected, something inside her starts to shift. Her thoughts, once calm and confident, start to wander into unfamiliar territory. She starts to think about you at the most random times, while she's scrolling on her phone driving alone or just lying awake at night. A memory flashes, a small moment between you two resurfaces. Maybe it's your voice, your laugh, or something you once said that stuck with her. And suddenly she's wondering what you're doing now, who you're talking to, whether you've already forgotten her. It's subtle at first, but it grows stronger every day. That's how curiosity works. It sneaks up on you, builds slowly, and then becomes impossible to shake off. When you were always available, she never had to wonder. She knew where you stood, she knew you cared. But now, there's mystery, there's distance, and that distance creates mental tension. Her mind begins to crave answers it can't find. She checks her phone more often, hoping maybe there's a message from you. She looks at your social media, pretending she's just browsing, But every photo, every post makes her wonder more. Even the silence of your online presence makes her think, why isn't he posting? Why isn't he trying to show me he's okay? It's a cycle that keeps her attention locked on you without her even realizing it. The longer your silence lasts, the stronger that curiosity becomes, starts to turn an obsession. Not the wild kind, but a quiet, haunting curiosity that follows her everywhere. She replays conversations you once had, trying to interpret things differently. What did he mean when he said that? Was he hinting that he was done? Did he know I'd act this way? Her mind tries to rewrite the past because it can't understand your present behavior. And when a woman starts overanalyzing silence, that's when emotion begins to take control of her thoughts. She starts imagining you with someone else. It might not even be real, but her mind fills in the blanks. She wonders who you're texting, who you might be laughing with now, who's getting the attention that once belonged to her. And the irony is, her ego will never let her admit this to anyone. On the outside, she acts fine. She posts something like focusing on myself or home-bothered energy. But inside, that curiosity has turned into a storm she can't calm down. The power of silence is that it removes your presence but amplifies your memory. When you stop chasing, you stop feeding her sense of control. You give her space to feel your absence, and that's when curiosity becomes emotional hunger. She doesn't just want to know what you're doing, she wants to know what you're feeling. She wonders if you still think about her, if you miss her, if your silence is out of strength or pain. And when she can't figure that out, that uncertainty drives her crazy. Because in the past, she always knew you'd come back. But this time it feels different. That difference is what keeps her hooked. It's the unknown that captivates her, not the certainty. People are addicted to mystery because mystery awakens desire. You become unpredictable in her eyes, and that unpredictability makes her feel emotions she can't control. She starts to see you as stronger than she imagined, calmer than she believed, and suddenly she realizes she might have misjudged your value. The man who once seemed easy to read now feels like a mystery she can't solve, and that's exactly where your power lies. Your silence becomes the teacher. It teaches her that attention from you was never something to take for granted. It teaches her that connection with you wasn't just emotional, it was grounding, comforting, and rare. She begins to miss that energy, that sense of safety that came from your presence. But she can't get it back by forcing control. The only way she can end the tension is by breaking her own silence, and that's the beauty of it. Your calmness has the power to make her take action. So when you choose silence, understand this, it's not empty. It's full of meaning, full of energy, full of power. It's the silence that makes her question, crave, and eventually confront what she truly feels. Because the longer she stays curious, the deeper she falls into her own thoughts. And the moment she realizes you're not chasing anymore, that's the moment curiosity turns into regret. As your silence continues, something deeper starts to happen inside her. What began as curiosity now becomes a battle between her ego and her emotions, a war she never expected to fight. Her ego keeps whispering, don't reach out first. Don't let him think he's won. But her heart, it's quietly aching. It misses your energy, your presence, the feeling of knowing someone genuinely cared. Every time she picks up her phone, her fingers hover over your name, and that tiny voice inside her heart says, just text him. Yet her pride won't let her. And that's when the tension begins to consume her from within. See, the ego thrives on control. It feeds on validation and power. When you were always available, her ego was well fed. She could push, pull, ignore, and still know you'd be there. But when you stopped reacting, when your silence became real, her ego starved. It lost the very thing it relied on to feel in charge. And now, without your attention to feed it, it starts to weaken. That's why she becomes frustrated. That's why she overthinks everything. Your silence isn't just quiet, it's a mirror reflecting back her own insecurities. She might tell herself she's fine, that she's done, that she doesn't care, but her behavior says otherwise. She starts checking if you viewed her stories, noticing when you're online, trying to decode every small detail. Her friends might tell her to stay strong, but they can't see what's happening inside her mind. The silence is slowly breaking her resistance. And every time she doesn't hear from you, her ego loses another battle to her heart. Her emotions begin to remind her what used to be. The louder the late night talks, the way she felt safe when she was around you. All those memories start resurfacing. And that's what her ego hates the most, because emotion is stronger than pride. Emotion is real. Emotion brings vulnerability, so she tries to suppress it, to bury it under distractions. She might talk to someone new or go out more trying to prove she's moved on. But deep down, she knows it's not the same. No one makes her feel what you did, and that truth starts to eat away at her. The longer your silence lasts, the louder the inner battle becomes. Her ego keeps building excuses. He's just playing games. He probably doesn't care. He was never serious anyway. But her heart doesn't believe it. Her heart remembers the connection, the effort, the depth. And now, it's starting to realize how much she took those things for granted. The very silence that she thought was weakness has now become proof of your strength. It's showing her that you didn't need her validation to move forward. You chose peace over chaos. You chose self-respect over chasing. That realization hits her harder than any argument ever could. Because now she feels the imbalance of power shifting. The person who once seemed dependent on her attention no longer needs it. The man who used to reach out is now living his life quietly, confidently, without needing to prove a point. And that's when her ego begins to lose control completely. It can't understand how you found strength in walking away. It can't process why you're no longer seeking closure. She starts to question herself. Did I mean that little to him? How can he be so calm? Was I ever really that important? These thoughts start to create emotional turbulence. And in that storm, her heart starts to take over. She begins to realize it's not anger she feels, it's longing. She misses the way you made her feel seen. She misses the emotional security you gave without demanding anything in return. That longing becomes heavier than her pride. And then one day she looks at your name on her phone again, but this time the voice in her head is different. It's no longer about control, it's about connection. She wants to reach out, but she hesitates because she knows once she does, the illusion of power is gone. The ego doesn't want to admit defeat, but her emotions are already winning. Your silence forced her to face what she's been running from, her real feelings. That's the beauty of staying calm and still. You didn't win by playing games, you won by not playing at all. You didn't manipulate, you simply removed your energy from where it wasn't appreciated. And that energy shift changed everything. It turned the focus inward, making her confront what she truly feels instead of hiding behind pride. It's not your silence that hurts her, it's what your silence makes her realize. As time goes on, your silence stretches further, something shifts in her mind. What started as confusion and curiosity slowly turns into reflection, even regret. She begins to replay the past like a movie in her head, every conversation, every moment, every time she pushed you away or acted like she didn't care. The silence, once something she thought she could control, has now become a haunting echo that won't leave her alone. She starts to see her actions differently, not from the lens of ego or emotion, but through the reality that she may have lost something real. And that realization doesn't come gently, it hits her in waves. At first, she tries to brush it off, telling herself you'll eventually reach out again like you always did. But when that moment never comes, the uncertainty grows heavier. She scrolls through old messages, remembering how easy things used to be, how you always initiated, how you were the steady one when she was emotional. And now that steadiness is gone, the space you left behind becomes painfully visible. Every notification she gets that isn't from you brings a quiet sting. It's the small reminders that hurt the most, the songs you both like, the places you used to talk about, the inside jokes that no longer have anyone to share them with. The silence you've created isn't just quiet, it's reflective. It's forcing her to face herself in ways she's never had to before. She starts questioning her own behavior, wondering why she took your consistency for granted. Because when someone's always there, you stop appreciating their presence until it disappears. And that's when the mind starts realizing the depth of what it lost. She begins to understand that your silence isn't about punishment, it's about peace. It's not about playing games, it's about letting go. That difference shakes her deeply because for the first time, she's seeing you as someone strong, not someone who needed her validation. Now the balance has shifted. The same silence she thought was weakness now feels like power. Your power, it's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's undeniable. And that unsettles her because it makes her question her choices. She remembers the times you tried to communicate, the moments you showed care, the times she dismissed your effort or misread your intentions. And now, with no more messages, no more reassurance, she's left with only her thoughts. Her mind becomes her battlefield. She goes from wondering if you miss her to realizing she's the one who's missing you. There's a moment when the silence no longer feels like distance, it feels like consequence. And that's when her pride starts to fade. The truth begins to set in. You were never trying to control her, you were simply loving her. You were giving her stability while she mistook it for predictability. She didn't see that your calmness came from genuine care, not weakness. Now, that calmness, your quiet absence, has become something she deeply craves but can't reach anymore. She might even try to justify everything to herself, telling friends you've changed, saying she's fine without you, but deep down she knows that's not true. Because she feels the silence differently now. It doesn't just sound like you're gone, it feels like she's the one who caused it. It's a mirror showing her the cost of her pride, the price of her emotional distance. And the more she realizes this, the heavier it becomes. She starts to understand what it truly means when someone withdraws their energy, not out of bitterness, but out of self respect. That's when she starts wishing she had appreciated you more, that she had responded with understanding instead of defensiveness, that she had listened instead of reacting. But regret has a cruel way of teaching lessons. It always comes when there's nothing left to fix. And that's the hardest truth she faces. Because silence doesn't give closure, it gives clarity. And that clarity is often painful. Your silence has become her teacher. It's showing her that love without respect fades, that care without reciprocation breaks, and that attention once lost can't be demanded back. She starts realizing how rare it was to have someone who genuinely cared without expectations, someone who stayed consistent even when she wasn't. And now that consistency is gone, she may even reach a point where she wants to reach out to test the waters to see if you'll still respond. But deep down, she knows something's different. You're not waiting anymore. You've grown beyond the need for her approval. And that realization doesn't just shock her, it humbles her. because now she understands that silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of strength. And in the quiet, she finally sees what you meant, what you brought, and what she lost when she let her ego speak louder than her heart. That's when the truth finally settles in. Sometimes silence says everything. When your silence continues long enough, something powerful begins to happen inside her. It starts to dismantle her ego. At first, she tells herself she's fine, that she's moved on, that your absence doesn't affect her. But over time, that armor begins to crack because the truth is silence forces self awareness, makes people confront what they've been avoiding. And when you stay silent, you're not just withholding words, you're creating a space where her mind has no choice but to face the truth she's been running from. She begins to notice how different things feel without your energy around. The attention, the effort, the care, it's gone. At first, her pride tells her it doesn't matter. She distracts herself, tries to fill the void with new people, new routines, maybe even someone else. But nothing feels the same because what she once dismissed as predictable or too easy now feels like something irreplaceable. Your silence becomes the comparison point for every new interaction. She may laugh with someone else, but her mind will still drift back to how natural things felt with you. The comfort, the calm, the sense of being understood, it lingers like a shadow. And while she's outwardly acting like she's over it, internally she's replaying everything, every argument, every moment where she chose her ego over connection. Every time she thought you'd never walk away. That's the hardest part for her. Realizing that she underestimated your strength, she thought silence would make you chase harder. But instead, it revealed that you were capable of detaching with peace, that you could still love her, but love yourself more. That shift changes everything. Because now she's the one who feels uncertain. She wonders what you're thinking. If you met someone else, if you even remember her the same way, her ego used to feed on your attention. It gave her reassurance that she still mattered. But now that reassurance is gone and her ego starts losing power. And when the ego loses power, truth begins to surface. She begins to see how she may have hurt you, how she took your patience for granted, how she thought she had time. But time is cruel when you waste it, and silence only amplifies that cruelty. The beautiful thing about silence is that it's neutral. It doesn't beg, it doesn't explain, it doesn't justify, it just is. And in that stillness, she begins to realize that you were never trying to win her over. You were simply giving her the space to meet you halfway. Now that you've stepped back, she's left standing in the emptiness of her own choices. It's not revenge, it's reflection. Because when someone truly mattered, their absence has a way of echoing through every part of your life. As the days pass, she starts to feel something she hasn't in a long time: respect. Not just for you, but for your strength, for your ability to walk away quietly, for your discipline not to reach out even when you easily could. That kind of restraint leaves an impression. It shows her that love doesn't always have to scream to be heard. Sometimes the silence speaks louder than any words ever could. Deep down, she starts to understand what your silence really means. It means you've healed. It means you've grown. It means you're not waiting for her anymore. And that's the moment that truly shocks her, when she realizes she's no longer the center of your world, but just a lesson from your past. That awareness humbles her more than any confrontation ever could. Your silence becomes the final message she can't ignore. It tells her everything without saying a single word: that you've accepted the end, found your peace, and moved forward with quiet confidence. And that, more than anything, makes her finally see the man she lost. Because sometimes the loudest way to show your worth is to say nothing at all. When the silence has gone on long enough and she finally begins to grasp that you're not coming back, something deeper takes place inside her. It's no longer just confusion or regret, it's realization. She starts to understand the full weight of what she's lost. Because silence over time strips away all the illusions, all the stories she told herself to justify her decisions. It forces her to see things as they truly were, not as her ego wanted them to be. And that moment of clarity is both beautiful and painful. At first, she might have thought your silence was a game, a tactic to make her miss you. She told herself you'd cave eventually. But as time moves forward and you remain calm, distant, and composed, she feels something shift. That confidence you now carry, without her presence, it's magnetic. The version of you that no longer seeks her approval is the one she finds the most attractive. It's the irony of human nature. When you stop chasing, they start watching. When you detach, they start remembering. Now every quiet moment in her day becomes an open door for memories. The small details she ignored before start flooding her mind. The way you listened when she spoke, how your presence brought peace instead of chaos, how your energy felt steady and grounding. She starts comparing what she had with you to what she has now, and that comparison stings. Because she realizes that what she once thought was ordinary was actually rare. You weren't just another person in her life, you were someone who cared deeply, genuinely, and consistently. And that's something she won't easily find again. This realization is where the silence truly wins, because you didn't have to convince her of anything, life did it for you. The absence of your energy teaches her more than your words ever could. It shows her that love without respect fades, that attention without effort means nothing, and that no matter how strong her ego was, it could never replace the comfort of being loved by someone authentic. Over time, she begins to feel a quiet sadness, Not the kind that comes from rejection, but from understanding. Understanding that she pushed away the one who actually cared, understanding that she mistook your patience for weakness. Understanding that the silence she once thought she controlled has now become her own reflection, a mirror showing her the cost of pride. And while she may never reach out, you can be certain she feels it. Every moment of stillness is a reminder of what she lost and what she could have had if she'd chosen differently. Your silence has become a living lesson, one that speaks louder than anger, louder than explanation, because silence, when used with self respect, carries a kind of power that words can never match. It commands attention, it earns dignity, and it leaves an unshakable impression. In the end, she'll realize that your silence wasn't about punishing her, it was about healing yourself. It was about choosing peace over chaos, self worth over validation. And when she sees that you've built your life stronger, calmer, and freer without her, that's when she finally understands silence doesn't mean weakness, it means mastery. You mastered your emotions, your boundaries, and your self control. And that's when she'll know deep down that while she may have been the one who walked away, you were the one who truly moved on.